Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Well, today I've actually got a hold of Shooter Union Vice President David Brown, and the reason I've invited him to come round so we can sit down and go through some of the frequently asked questions about the Ozzie Reviews Shooters Union Life Membership deal. Mate, thank you for your time.
Pleasure, thanks for inviting me out to the farm.
Not a problem at all. Now, for people who haven't seen what we're doing, I'm sure most of you guys at home have now. We're running a deal for the month of July, okay, until midnight. On the 31st it will expire, the deal of $379 for a life membership with the Shooters Union. Now this is normally $700 to get this life membership, so it's at an extremely discounted rate. And I've basically gone to the Shooters Union late last year with the idea, and because it was around the Christmas time, we had a lot of people take that up. However, there were a lot of people too complaining that it was the wrong time of year and they wanted a run or an opportunity again to be included in that deal. So this is what we've done. This is the last time, because this is basically a mop-up of the previous deal so that you guys who missed out have an opportunity to take advantage of it. So I guess what I'd like to start off with, David, is the actual benefits of the Shooters Union. I mean, I can talk about it all day, but it's great to hear it from someone who represents the organisation. So for the benefits, let's start off with, obviously we have recreational shooters. What is the benefit of a recreational shooter being a part of the Shooters Union?
For anyone who needs a genuine reason, I suppose that's first and foremost. Shooters Union is a genuine reason for AB&H in Queensland, New South Wales, AB in Western Australia, and typically in the future in other states as well. So for licensing purposes, that sort of ticks that box. If you're recreational hunting on private land, the worst thing you could do is accidentally shoot a beast or something go wrong and not be insured. So Shooters Union offers a comprehensive liability insurance as part of the membership, and to get a lifetime insurance cover for such a small amount of money is really, in fact, to be brutally honest, there's nothing in it for us either. You know, when you look at the cost of the insurance alone. So I think really that's probably the single most important thing is peace of mind that you've got insurance cover.
So 10 million liability insurance.
Yes.
So I know personally, I mean, as a farmer myself, like even if I have friends who want to come over and do some hunting or something like that, unfortunately in the day and age that we're in, I do say to them, I require you to have some liability.
You can't afford not to.
Insurance cover.
Can't afford not to. And it should be pointed out that this cover is anywhere in the country, so long as you are lawfully shooting. So that's on a range or hunting on private property. So long as that activity is lawful, you are covered.
So you could be, hypothetically, you could live in Perth, you could take advantage of this deal, and you could be out shooting on private land in Western Australia, and if you are on the farmer's property, you accidentally shoot a beast or something else happens there and you're lawfully shooting, there's that liability insurance will cover you.
That's correct.
Right. That's correct. Okay. So what about, I heard a whisper, and I'm sorry because I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because everyone knows I'm in Queensland. What's the deal with Shooters Union here in Queensland? I read something about R licences in New South Wales. Do you guys cover that, or how's it work? Can you explain how it works?
Okay. In New South Wales, if you want to hunt in the, I can't recall what they call them, the state parks anyway. You must have a R licence from the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries. And a lot of people don't realise that even hunting certain species on private land, so if you want to go deer hunting on your mate's farm in Tenterfield, for example, you need to be R licensed. And whilst there's plenty of people in New South Wales that look after that, there's a lot of people in particularly southern Queensland that want to travel across with friends or relatives. And there's not very many places in Queensland that you can actually get your R licence done. And you know, it's just a fact of life, you know, unless you're willing to travel across the border, which can be a little bit inconvenient. So Shooters Union has the ability, we're an accredited club, and several of us are accredited trainers. We can put you through a R licence for recreational hunting in New South Wales.
Right, so you can't just get the licence without being a member of like an accredited hunting club. Is that how it works?
Yes, so you would have to be a member of Shooters Union.
Yep. And
obviously, if life membership fixes that ticks that box pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, the $35 a year and whatever it costs on the day. Now, obviously, if there's 2 or 3 or 4 of you want to do it all together, it is certainly a little bit more economical. We do it really just, it barely covers costs, I suppose, and the price will vary depending on how many people are doing it.
Yeah.
And it usually only takes a few hours, and
okay.
The materials are quite good. Even people like me can follow it. So.
Okay, no problem. All right. So what about the next one that we'd be looking at would be an AB sports shooter who doesn't have private property to hunt or shoot on, and they have to typically just go to a range. That's the only avenue that they've got. Mm-hmm. What would be the benefit of them joining Shooters Union?
Again, that liability insurance covers them for things that happen doing lawful shooting on a range as well.
Yep.
We do get the odd question about Shooters Union doesn't have ranges, and no, we don't. And we might talk a little bit more about that in a minute, perhaps as to what the main reasons for Shooters Union is.
Yep.
But there are plenty of ranges, whether they're clay target, pistol clubs, long distance rifle ranges.
Yep.
A lot of them actually are quite happy to have Shooters Union members visit, and there's normally just a visitor's fee. Typically it's $10. I know the Clay Target Club that I'm a member of
yep.
Actually welcomes Shooters Union members. They charge $10. Everything's hunky-dory. Go
yep.
for it. But I would encourage you to also become a member of your local rifle range, because they're providing something and some infrastructure, and for you to contribute and get involved in a local club as well as being a Shooters Union member
yep.
Is something that everybody should look at. I mean, I know you talk about your memberships to NRAs and things like this. If we actually sat down, we'd run out of fingers if we counted up all the clubs and things that between us we're members of. I think I'm 5 or 6 alone.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage everybody to get involved with Shooters Union, primarily because of advocacy, and we'll talk about that in a minute maybe, but also join that local club as well.
Yeah, okay. So what about, I know obviously Cat H, because I've got a Cat H licence myself with a target shooting endorsement on it. So we've got 6 mandatory competition shoots to do each year in order to maintain that licence. How does Shooters Union help in that situation?
Well, it's something that we really need to work on a bit more in terms of affiliations with ranges. For example, over there in Brisbane, the Rothwell Indoor Range
yep.
is a big fan, and they work in very closely with one of the state's leading firearm training organisations, Asset Training.
Mm-hmm.
So people like that do offer an arrangement for Shooters Union. I know a lot of other clubs. I'm a member at Ipswich, and we shoot IPSC there, for example, and Ipswich is more than welcoming of visitors.
Yep.
However, they do say if you're going to come here more than so many times a year, you really should consider being a member.
Yeah.
And again, I would say, your ability to hold your licence through Shooters Union is one thing, but I also think that you should help support other special interest groups as well. And look, that could be a hunting club, it could be pistol shooting, clay targets, whatever it is.
Sure. So what about advocacy? Because obviously we touched on that. So tell us about the advocacy. I mean, I know personally because I have been in meetings before with representatives of Shooters Union with politicians.
Yeah, we've done a few. Yeah.
So I understand that and how it works. Now, don't mind Cooper in the background there, guys, having a drink.
Yeah, the producer's having a drink. Maybe we should have one as well. So meeting with politicians and the like is a very, very tough chore.
Yep.
And you and I have been to made a few representations, and it is a lot of hard work.
Yep.
And that's what Shooters Union was founded on, was primarily firearm rights and advocacy.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things like the current like for like that we've got here in Queensland, at least. Things like that just didn't happen because weapons licensing thought it would be a good idea. Someone had to convince them that it was a good idea. To their credit, they agreed. So a lot of things are federally oriented in terms of the NFA, which sets a nasty framework for states to either choose to adopt or not to adopt. You know, they'll say, oh no, we can't do that because the NFA says so, even though it's not law in your state, you know. So there's a lot of arguing the point and what you would call politicking that goes on just to keep the peace now, but also to try and push back to keep some sort of level of common sense. Now, we think we should have more sensible gun laws, and I know you and Graham have discussed this, I think, on previous videos, where really we would like to actually start pushing back to get some more freedoms back that are fact-based, sensible legislative changes. So fact-based, sensible legislative changes would sum it up. You would not, well, you probably would believe, but the average person does not understand how much effort that takes. And given that we're coming up to a state election here in Queensland, which is probably the most important election since the NFA was introduced in '96.
I agree.
Advocacy is really what we're all about, and right at the moment, the average follower of Shooters Union and Ozzie reviews wouldn't understand the amount of work that's going on in the background with existing MPs, candidates for the next election, the training and education that we're doing. So the long-term benefit of that is that we might actually get a bit of a crack at things through the next Parliament. And this is something that needs to happen in other states, but we've got the opportunity here in Queensland right now.
I think personally, my own personal view on it is this really is the crux here in Queensland. I think this is where the battle will be decided, which will then have a domino effect for the rest of Australia.
Absolutely.
That's my own personal view on it. I know it's very, very important. So one of the questions I've got from a few people, I mean, I got a message the other day from a guy in Victoria who follows my channel, and he said, look, I've taken advantage of the deal. You know, it's of no benefit to him at this stage other than obviously liability insurance. So the question that I'm getting from a lot of people, and I can't answer it, guys, because obviously I'm not a Shooters Union representative, but I'd like to know and be able to let people know now, what is the chance and what sort of estimated time frame would it be for Shooters Union to make appearances in Victoria, Northern Territory, South Australia, that sort of thing?
Okay, so to look at the next 12 months, and currently we have a project underway, and it's my pet project. I've got Scott, who you know, assisting now, and a couple of lawyers that work with us to look at setting up the constitutions, fitting in with all the various state laws, you know, because every Office of Fair Trading has a different model rule and what have you. And what we don't want to do is create ourselves a mess. So it's got to be done right from the beginning. And that includes also things like our IT. I mean, we struggled. We had one recently with a guy who was sending messages in via his member portal that actually put a comment on the Facebook page, and it turns out that we've found a bug with Office 365 probably filtering out his message. So there's IT things that we don't want to carry over into other states. So we're doing a little bit of background work now and getting to the point where we can roll out another state relatively easily. Now, that takes people, and we do have a few people already sort of signed up, registered interest, as it were, from Victoria. We've got some folk in the Northern Territory, South Australia and Tasmania. So there are people wanting to do this. This is where the life membership program, I think, really matters. If you've been willing to stump up $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, whatever the amount of money is, you're at least interested and keen on looking after the shooting sports.
Yep.
So in time, those life members might just get an email. Hey guys, we're coming to Victoria. We need your help to help set up.
Yeah.
And you know, there'll be certain people with the right skill sets, and we need the right skill sets to do various different jobs. And don't be at all surprised if you've signed up in Victoria that you'll become an integral part of the Shooters Union expansion in whatever state. For those that join or are even just ordinary members in another state, they will be parachuted into the state branch. You'll always be a Shooters Union Australia member, but you'll also be the Shooters Union Victoria member, or New South Wales or Queensland.
Yep.
We probably should talk about New South Wales, because you get questions, and you did last time, about New South Wales, because that gets a little bit complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, because there's Shooters Union New South Wales, people are wanting to know, or what if I take this life membership deal, how is that going to help me in New South Wales, or do I then have to continue paying New South Wales? So I think the crux of what people are getting at here is they just want to know how long it's going to be before they can use Shooters Union as a genuine reason in their state or territory. I think that's the biggest question.
So obviously in New South Wales now, it's okay. What we're doing, and I'm off to see Peter Whelan and the guys in Sydney next Saturday, because they're quite keen to unload some of the administrative burden, as it were, to us.
Yep.
So we're looking, and part of the meeting next week, and I'm probably speaking a little bit early, is to look at how we reattach or integrate them into the broader Shooters Union community, in terms of getting their state issues dealt with, because, say for example, unlike Queensland, you have participation requirements for target and hunting.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Queensland.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
There's certain overheads and things there. So we need to look at the costing model. And, you know, Shooters Union's not a money-hungry organisation, but I can tell you advocacy costs money.
Yeah.
And particularly with the work we're doing at the moment. So what we're going to look at is setting up a standard base membership and then having certain add-ons. So say for example, in New South Wales there might be an add-on for collectors, or there might be an add-on for Cat H, or you know, if they might have a wine appreciation group or something else, you know, that they want to tack into the local club.
Yep.
That will just be an add-on fee. So you'll have your standard $35 a year fee, and then the options, you tick the boxes, that'll go on top of that.
Yep.
And that's sort of how New South Wales have operated now. They've had a higher but a standard fee and some add-ons. So we'll model every state accordingly. Your standard basic membership will be the same across the country.
Yep.
For the life member, that will cover their standard basic membership. So if you're a life member in New South Wales and there's 2 or 3 add-ons that you want to participate in, it might cost you an extra $10, $15 a year, whatever it might be.
Yep.
So that's where we're headed, and this project is really looking at sort of the next 12 months to get the other states up and running. It might take us a little bit longer. It might be a much bigger job than I than I wished it was.
Yep.
But we certainly do have some positive feedback in the other states.
Yep.
And I make the appeal to all the people that have taken up the life membership to stick your hand up. If you're in Victoria or South Australia or Tasmania or wherever, put your hand up, write into membership at shootersunion.com.au and just put a simple headline in, expression of interest Victoria, or expression of interest wherever. We have been collating the names of a few folk that have already done this off their own back,
right,
and we'll certainly be in touch when the appropriate time comes.
Yep. Okay. Oh, cool. So basically that is the ultimate goal of Shooters Union, to obviously have advocacy nationally, and I know to a degree you already do nationally because you go down to Canberra and speak with federal politicians, so that's national. However, that's the ultimate goal, to go nationally and to have a genuine reason to own firearms in each state and territory. Now, what about, and I won't harp on it too much because we have spoken about this sort of thing before. I've seen Shooters Union speak about it before. But for anyone who's watching at home, this is going to be a very quick rundown. Do Shooters Union support Cat C for licensed shooters?
Absolutely.
Cat D for licensed shooters?
Absolutely. I want them back. I'm
Yep.
sure there's
Okay.
plenty of others that were quite trustworthy before.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
Yep.
something we'd like to see.
Suppressors.
What was that? Actually, suppressors. It's funny you mentioned suppressors.
Yep.
I think in New South Wales that might actually start happening. I know that's in there. That they've actually got a form.
Yep.
But they're starting to look at farmers and certain groups.
Yep.
I think there's some positive change over the next year or two, particularly if our friends in the US
Yep.
get the Hearing Protection Act through.
Yes.
Don't you think that might just bring some common sense to this country?
Yeah. Well, there was that release down in Victoria. The Victorian government put it on the website with the results and findings of the benefits of suppressors, and the benefits far outweighed any of the risk, and that's their own people doing the research on this. So
It makes sense. I mean, we've got a few older folk, and I should say that very kindly because the founders of Shooters Union, you've met both Jan and Graham, and Jan particularly will tell you, what? Hearing protection's a big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we can push that over the line, that will be fantastic.
awesome. Well, that one was very left field, so I'm sorry
Yeah,
for that, but I wanted to put you on the spot. and
Spot on.
So for people at home that just think, well, what are they going to? Are they going to be very, just appeasing with the government? They're not going to fight for gun rights for decent licensed people. That's why I asked the question. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up now because I think we've covered everything. But the one thing I do want to finish on is, I know it was a little bit of a task for me to get this life membership deal for the followers of the channel. There's no two ways about it. Can you explain basically why it was a little bit, I had to explain a lot, but for people at home who think, well, why can't they go cheaper, for example? Because that's as cheap as I could negotiate.
I was negotiating upwards, and the fact that he's a little bit bigger than me might have had something to do with it. To be brutally honest, the insurance cost alone over 20 years,
which is a typical life.
Is typically what I mean. A life membership is life, but if you average it over 20 years, that money's gone, and particularly as things get dearer and dearer over time, it's probably a bit less than that. We didn't look at it as a revenue raising offer. I mean, you came to us with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was more about raising awareness of advocacy.
Absolutely.
And given that we have been quietly in the background punching well above our weight, and to a certain degree we take that as a compliment. And I've got to say thank you to you for your support. But this is more about getting people who are committed to looking after our shooting rights and or furthering them, and getting them involved and giving them something to be part of. So I don't look at it as a justifiable reason or insurance or anything else. This is all just about advocacy. I mean, it is the most important thing. So, there's clay target clubs and hunting clubs and everything else, and they all provide a very valuable service to the shooting community. What we do best is advocacy. And the most important thing is a good life membership base helps us then attract other members. So everybody that takes out a life membership, please go and sign up 5 of your friends at $35 a year. They'll get some benefits as well. But it does help us pay the bills with media and media training and other communication activities that we use those funds for.
No problem at all. Right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'll put the link at the bottom of this review on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, the link will be below for the membership offer. You only have until midnight, 31st of July 2017, to take advantage of this special offer. $379. After that, it's $700. It's the normal fee. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, as the years go up, like most shooting organisations, there's inevitably going to be price increases.
We've had an increase just at the beginning of July to $35. We were $30, I think, for far too long. Even at $35, it's exceptionally good value.
Yep.
And yeah, really appreciate what everybody's doing. Thanks to you and your team putting together these deals. And
Yep.
yeah, this is all about the common cause.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mate. Thanks
very
very much
much
for your time.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it.